Evan Reed had been living on Outpost 7 for almost 8 months, and the place still felt too silent. The mining colony sat on the edge of a red desert planet, far away from any human city or help. His job was simple: check machines, fix broken power lines, and scan the underground tunnels for danger. But loneliness made every sound feel louder, sharper, and sometimes scary. Luckily, he was not completely alone. Laura lived with him. Laura was not a normal animal. She looked like a canine: 4 legs, soft fur, sharp ears, but she was clearly alien. Her fur always glowed faintly, like moonlight trapped in her body. Her eyes shined gold in the dark. She understood words. She could open doors, press buttons, and even show emotions like a human friend. She was loyal, protective, and strange. Evan found her 1 year ago, injured and hiding near a cave. He fed her, healed her injuries, and brought her back to the outpost. Since then, she never left his side. Tonight felt different. The wind outside screamed across the sand, and the metal walls shook as if something heavy moved under the ground. The lights flickered again. Evan stood in the control room, watching the scanner screen. A large dot kept appearing and disappearing under the outpost. Must be a glitch. He whispered, but his stomach tightened. Laura was sitting near the window, tail curled around her feet. She watched him quietly, too quietly. Usually she woofed, made clicking sounds, or followed him around. But tonight her golden eyes did not blink. She looked almost worried. "Hey, Laura," Evan said, kneeling beside her. "You sense something?" Her ears twitched. Her fur glowed brighter for a second. That was not a normal reaction. Evan frowned. "What is it? Did you hear something outside?" Instead of answering with her usual soft chirp, Laura slowly pressed her head against his chest. Her body felt warm, warmer than usual. She was breathing fast. "Okay. That's strange," Evan murmured. The ground suddenly shook hard. The table rattled. A mug fell and shattered on the floor. The outpost lights flashed red. An alarm beeped loudly. "Warning. Underground movement detected." Evan jumped to the console. "What underground movement? There's nothing down there except old mining tunnels." But the scanner was now huge and moving closer. Too close. The outpost shook again, stronger this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. Evan grabbed the support rail. "What the hell is happening?" He muttered. He looked at Laura and froze. She was standing tall now, her back arched, head low, eyes glowing brighter than he had ever seen. Her fur was shining like she had swallowed a piece of the sun. She was not scared. She was preparing for something. "Laura?" Evan whispered, confused. "What's wrong with you?" For the first time since he found her, Laura stepped back from him. She lowered her head, tail stiff. She looked guilty, like she had been hiding something big. And then she spoke, not a bark, not a chirp, not the broken half words she sometimes used. A clear voice. "Human, you should prepare." Evan's heart almost stopped. He stared at her, eyes wide. He had heard her speak before, but never like this. Her voice sounded older, deeper, and almost royal. "Prepare for what?" Evan asked softly. Laura did not answer. She only looked at him with sad golden eyes, and her fur dimmed. The scanner beeped again. The underground was now right below the outpost. Boom. A loud thud hit the ground beneath them. The walls shook so violently that Evan almost fell. He grabbed the console. "What is that thing?" Laura walked closer and placed her forehead against his leg. She was shaking now. Not from fear, Evan could tell, but from something else. Her body heat was rising. Her breaths were short and quick. Evan knelt again. "Laura, are you sick? Are you hurt? Tell me what's going on." The lights flickered twice. The power grid groaned. The alarm continued to scream. But Laura finally lifted her head. Her ears drooped. Her eyes softened. She took a deep breath. And said the words that changed Evan's life. "We're having puppies." Evan blinked. "What?" Lura repeated softly. "You should prepare, human. We're having puppies." Evan stared at her like she had spoken another language. Puppies? Her and him? That made no sense. He wasn't even the same species. And how could she suddenly talk perfectly? He opened his mouth to question her, but the ground cracked again. Something big was coming. Lura stepped in front of him, blocking him from the door. Her golden eyes turned fierce. Her fur glowed bright white. Now Evan finally understood one thing. Whatever was moving underground, whatever was coming for them, it had something to do with Lura's puppies. And she had been hiding the truth all this time. The silence between them was heavy and frightening. Lura growled softly, as if warning the unseen enemy. Evan swallowed hard. This was no normal night. This was the beginning of something terrifying, and he was not ready for it. But Lura was ***. Evan stood frozen, his mind spinning around Lura's strange words. "We're having puppies." It didn't make sense. It couldn't make sense. Humans and alien canines didn't mix. It was impossible scientifically, biologically, logically. But the fear in Lura's golden eyes, that was real. And the shaking under the ground was real too. The outpost lights flickered again. The red alarm siren turned into a long, sharp beep that echoed across every metal wall. Outside, the dust storm swirled faster, hitting the windows like 1,000 small knives. Evan took a slow step back. "Lura, please explain. What does this mean? What puppies? Why now?" Lura didn't look at him. Instead, she kept staring at the floor, ears up, body tense. She was listening to something deep under the earth, something Evan could not hear. Her fur glowed brighter with every tremor. Finally she spoke again, her voice low and serious. "Danger comes." Evan felt a shiver crawl up his spine. "The way." She said it. She sounded like a soldier, not a pet. "What danger?" Evan pressed. "Is something after you?" Lura turned her head slightly, enough to meet his eyes. "Not me," she whispered. "Us." That single word made Evan's heartbeat speed up. Us, meaning me? Why me? Before she could answer, the floor jolted again, hard enough to knock papers off the desk and send a toolbox sliding across the room. Evan grabbed the railing to stay upright. The scanner beeped louder. A new line appeared on the screen. "Mass identified. Unknown hostile life form." Evan felt his throat tighten. Unknown hostile life form? No. This can't be happening again. The tunnels were sealed. Lura growled, a deep rumble rising in her chest. She stepped in front of him like a shield. Her fur's glow brightened to a strange pale blue, lighting the entire room. Evan had never seen her glow this color. It was beautiful, but also terrifying. "Lura, please," Evan said quietly. "Tell me the truth. What's happening to?" She slowly walked toward him, her paws making soft tapping sounds on the metal floor. When she stood just inches from him, she spoke clearly, each word slow and heavy. "My kind does not have children alone." Evan frowned. "What do you mean?" "We choose a protector," she continued. "A partner of spirit, not body. Someone we trust completely. Someone we bond with." Her eyes softened. For a moment, she looked small, fragile, even scared. "I chose you." Evan felt his entire body turn cold. "But, Lura, I'm human. I don't understand your species. How can I be part of something like this?" She lowered her head. "Because you saved me when I was dying. You fed me. You healed me. You gave me a home. We bonded. I accepted you." Evan's mouth opened, but no words came out. He remembered the night he found her, bleeding, shaking, barely alive. He had carried her for miles to the outpost. He had refused to let her die. Back then, it felt like saving a lost animal. Now it felt like something much bigger. "You said danger is coming," Evan whispered. Is it because of the puppies? Lyra nodded slowly. My children carry energy, powerful energy. The creatures below. They smell it. Evan looked at the scanner. The massive dot was expanding, spreading under the outpost like a spider web. Multiple small shapes were moving with it. What creatures? He asked. Lyra's voice dropped to a growl. Burrow fiends, hunters of life energy. They feed on newborns like mine. The outpost gave another violent shake. Dust rained. From the ceiling. Evan felt panic creeping up his chest. And you're telling me they're coming right now? Yes, Lyra whispered. They feel the new life inside me. Her body shook again, her glow flaring bright red for a moment. She gritted her teeth, shutting her eyes tightly. Lyra? Evan stepped forward. Are you hurt? What's happening to you? She breathed heavily. The time is soon, my body prepares. The children, they are coming. Evan stared at her, disbelief in every inch of his face. You're having them? Now? While monsters are trying to break into the outpost. Lyra nodded once. Yes, the alarm screamed again. The scanner showed multiple red dots rising upward fast. Lyra suddenly pushed her head into Evan's hands. Human, listen to me. Evan's breath trembled. You must protect me, Lyra continued. Protect the children. You must not. Leave us alone. If I fall, you run with them. Do you understand? Evan's chest tightened painfully. Lyra, don't talk like that. You're not going to fall. I won't let you. She closed her eyes, leaning into him as another tremor shook her body. You are part of my pack, she whispered. And my pack must survive. The room went silent. Evan didn't move. He didn't breathe, because somewhere deep below the outpost Thum, THOOM. Heavy footsteps, or something like footsteps, were getting closer. Suddenly, the floor cracked open at the far side of the room, just a thin line but enough to spit dust into the air. Evan jumped back. Lyra growled, her glow turning a blazing, furious gold. Evan grabbed the shock rifle from the table. Okay, Lyra, whatever happens, I'm here. Lyra's eyes locked onto his. Then we live. Outside, the wind roared like a warning call. Below them, something monstrous clawed its way upward. And inside, the outpost, a human and an alien canine stood side by side, waiting for the first attack. The thin crack on the floor grew wider, splitting like a dark mouth opening in slow motion. Hot air rushed upward, smelling like burned metal and rotten earth. Evan stepped back with his shock rifle raised, heart pounding so hard he felt it in his throat. Lyra moved beside him, her glowing fur lighting the room like a weak lantern. Her breathing was fast, too fast. She looked both ready to fight and ready to collapse. Evan swallowed hard. Lyra, if there's something else I need to know, tell me now. Lyra lowered her head, her golden eyes dimming. You should know everything, she whispered, before it is too late. Another deep rumble shook the outpost, but this time, Evan forced himself to focus on her. What are you? He asked softly. What are Omega Hounds really? She closed her eyes for a few seconds, gathering strength. Then she spoke slow, heavy and honest. My kind is called the Luranthi, she said. We are not normal animals, we are guardians. Weapons, protectors of worlds. We were created long ago to fight the burrow fiends, those creatures you saw on the scanner. Evan's mind flashed back to the giant dots moving underground. A chill ran through his body. We carry energy inside us, Lyra continued, her fur glowing faint blue. The energy grows stronger when new life begins. The fiends smell it from miles away. Evan rubbed his forehead. So you're pups. They're like energy beacons? Lyra nodded. Yes, they will be born with powerful cores, stronger than mine. And that's why the fiends are coming, Evan said slowly. They want the energy. Lura looked away. They want to eat. Evan's stomach twisted. The rumbling grew louder. Something scraped the underside of the metal floor, sharp claws trying to break through. Evan pointed his rifle at the ground, even though he knew it wouldn't do much. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he asked quietly, voice shaking. Lura stayed still for a long moment. Then she whispered, "Because I did not want you to fear me." Evan froze. Lura continued, her voice trembling. "My kind is feared on many planets. People think we are dangerous, unstable, too powerful. I thought, if you knew what grows inside me, you would send me away." Evan felt a painful tightness in his chest. "Lura, I would never send you away." She looked at him with soft, hopeful eyes. "You say this now, but you do not understand." "Then help me understand," Evan said. "Tell me everything." Lura took a deep breath. When a Luranthi chooses a protector, she forms a bond with them. A mental tie, a spiritual connection. "That is why I stayed with you. Why I trust you more than my own kind." Evan blinked. "So when you say we are having puppies?" "Yes," Lura whispered. "The bond makes you part of their birth. Not as a parent of blood, but as a parent of spirit." That hit Evan harder than any tremor. "I'm part of your family?" he said quietly. Lura touched his hand gently with her muzzle. "More than that, you are their anchor. Without you, they cannot survive their first minutes." Evan tightened his grip on the rifle. "Then I'm not going anywhere." Boom! A giant strike hit the underside of the floor so hard the whole ceiling shook. A large metal panel fell from above and crashed behind Evan. Dust filled the room. Lura snarled, stepping in front of him again. Evan coughed and waved the dust away. "How many fiends are there?" "Many," Lura said. "A pack smells fresh life. They come fast. They do not stop." Evan hesitated. "Can we escape? Can we outrun them?" "No," Lura said firmly. "I cannot run now. The children push inside me. My legs weaken. I must stay here." Evan felt panic rising again. "What do I do then?" "You prepare the bunker room," Lura instructed. "Thick walls, no vents, only one door. It will hold for a while. But the fiends, I will guard the outside until I cannot," she said fiercely. "You will guard the inside with the children." Evan stared at her, this glowing, shaken creature who trusted him more than her own species. "Lura, you'll be torn apart out there." She turned to him, and for the first time since the shaking started, she smiled softly, an animal smile, but full of warmth. "My life is not mine now," she whispered. "It belongs to my children. And to my protector." Evan felt tears sting his eyes, but he wiped them away quickly. The ground cracked again. A long, sharp claw pierced through the metal floor for a split second, then disappeared. Evan gasped. "They're breaking through." Lura's glow flared. "Bright gold. Then we move now." She pushed her shoulder against Evan's leg, urging him toward the bunker hallway. Her breathing was fast and pained now. "Lura," he whispered, "are you going into labor?" She nodded once. Evan felt his heart almost stop. Monsters were breaking in. Lura was collapsing. And newborn alien pups were about to arrive with the power of a small sun. This was more than a crisis. It was the start of a war. But Evan wasn't running. Not now. Not ever. He grabbed Lura gently and helped her toward the bunker as the floor behind them split open wider, and the first fiend climbed up from the darkness. A burst of black dust shot upward as a huge shape forced itself through the opening. Evan grabbed Lura and stumbled backward, dragging her toward the bunker hallway. His shock rifle shook in his hands. His breath came fast and sharp. Lura tried to stand strong, but her legs trembled violently. She leaned against the wall, panting. "Go to the bunker," she whispered again, voice weak. Evan forced himself not to panic. I'm not leaving you behind." A deep, bone-rattling growl rumbled from the hole behind them. Then the creature pulled itself fully out. Evan's eyes widened. The burrow fiend was bigger than any creature he had ever seen, twice the size of a bear, covered in jagged stone-like armor plates that scraped the ground. Its mouth split into 4 curved jaws lined with glowing blue teeth. Its eyes were small, pure white, and filled with hunger. Its claws long, sharp, and dripping with black ash scratched the floor and threw sparks into the air. Evan raised his rifle and fired. The bolt of blue electricity shot across the room and hit the fiend's chest. It did nothing. The creature lifted its head and screeched. The sound was so loud that Evan covered his ears. Lura flinched, her glow flickering weakly. The fiend stomped forward, each step shaking the floor. Evan fired again, this time at its face. The fiend merely blinked. "Oh, that's just great," Evan muttered, panic turning into frustration. "Shock rifle does nothing." Lura pushed herself off the wall and stepped in front of him despite her shaking legs. Her voice was hoarse but firm. "Fiends have stone armor. Energy attacks are weak. Aim for the underplates." Evan looked at the creature. Its belly and joints had small gaps between the armor. "Got it." But before he could reposition, another sound echoed from the hole. A second creature was climbing up. Evan felt his stomach drop. "There's more?" Lura growled. "I told you. They move in packs." Another claw burst through the metal floor then. Another and another. Smaller fiends began pulling themselves out like insects crawling from a nest. The largest one, the alpha, charged forward. "Lura, move!" Evan shouted. Lura leaped aside just in time. The giant fiend slammed into the wall, crushing metal like paper. Pipes burst, spraying steam everywhere. The air turned hot and thick. Evan grabbed Lura's side to steady her. She winced, teeth clenched. "It hurts," she whispered. The children, they pushed faster. Evan felt a spike of fear. "You're going into labor right now?" "Yes." Lura gasped. "We have minutes, maybe less." Another fiend screeched and lunged toward them. Evan aimed under its armor and fired, this time. The bolt hit a joint between 2 plates. The beast shrieked and stumbled back. "Yes," Evan shouted. "Weak spot." But the victory lasted 1 second, because the alpha fiend turned toward Lura. It smelled the energy inside her. It smelled the unborn pups. "Nitrogen monoxide, you don't." Evan roared. He sprinted forward, firing again and again into the armor gaps. The alpha growled, annoyed, and swung its massive claw at Evan. Evan ducked, rolling across the floor as the metal ground exploded behind him. Lura limped forward, her glow flickering. "Evan, the bunker, you must go. We're going together." Evan yelled, but Lura shook her head. "No, I must hold them back. If they reach the bunker, the children will not survive." Evan grabbed her face gently. "Lura, listen to me. You are not fighting alone. I won't let you die here." Her eyes softened for just a moment. "You are brave, human. But bravery cannot stop nature." Suddenly, the alpha fiend roared and charged again. Lura didn't have time to speak. She pushed Evan hard, so hard he stumbled backward down the hallway toward the bunker door. "Lura, go!" she shouted, her voice echoing with ancient strength. Her fur exploded into bright, golden light as she stood between Evan and the oncoming alpha. The fiend swung its claw. Lura's glow flared, and she blocked the hit with a burst of energy that shook the entire hall. Evan's eyes widened. He had never seen her use power like this. She looked like a small sun in the darkness, her glow forcing the fiends to step back. But Evan could also see her shaking, her body weakening, her breaths harsh and painful. Her energy was almost gone. "Lura, you can't fight them," Evan shouted. "You'll collapse." The alpha recovered and roared again, charging a second time. Evan raised his rifle, But before he could shoot, Lura looked over her shoulder at him. Her voice was soft, full of trust. Protect the children, please. Then she turned and launched herself straight at the alpha fiend. Her body became a streak of golden light. The impact shook the entire outpost. Fiend screams filled the air. Dust fell from the ceiling. Sparks rained down from broken wires. Evan watched with wide, burning eyes. Lura fought like a living comet. But she was outnumbered, outmatched, and nearly out of strength. If he didn't help her soon, she was going to die. But if he didn't reach the bunker, the pups would die. Evan stood frozen between two impossible choices. His heart raced. His hands shook. The fiend circled Lura. The bunker door waited behind him, and the next decision he made would change all of their lives forever. Asterisk. The hallway burned with golden light as Lura fought like a creature made of fire and desperation. The alpha fiend slammed its claws against her energy shield, each hit sending shockwaves through the metal walls. Sparks flew. Steam burst from broken pipes. The air tasted of smoke and fear. Evan stood at the bunker entrance, torn between two choices that felt like knives inside his chest. If he ran to Lura, the pups inside her would have no protection. If he ran to the pups, Lura would die fighting alone. His hands shook. His breath trembled. Think, Evan, he whispered to himself. Don't freeze, not now. One look at Lura told him the truth. She couldn't hold the fiends much longer. Her bright glow flickered like a dying candle. Her legs shook violently. Her breaths came out in short, painful gasps. She was fighting on pure instinct. Now another fiend crawled through the broken floor behind the alpha. This one smaller but faster. It ran toward her side, aiming for her exposed belly. No. Evan shouted. He fired a shock bolt at its leg joint. The creature stumbled, screeching. But more claws scraped the floor. More fiends climbed up. The pack was growing, and Lura was weakening. Her voice cracked with pain. Evan, please, go. Evan clenched his teeth. I'm not leaving you. But then he saw it. A glow beneath Lura's stomach, a trembling, swirling light. The pups. They were ready to be born. Lura's entire body shuddered, and she collapsed to one knee. The alpha fiend raised its claw high, ready to strike her down. Evan didn't think. He moved. He sprinted forward, sliding across the floor, and fired at the alpha's underplate gap. The bolt hit the joint perfectly. The alpha roared, stumbling sideways. Lura! Get up! Evan yelled. She tried, but her muscles spasmed violently. Her eyes squeezed shut as another contraction racked her body. The children, she whispered. They are coming. Evan felt something inside him break. He grabbed her by the shoulders. Lura, just a little more. You can't give up now. But she was slipping, her glow fading, her breaths shallow, her strength dying. The fiends sensed it. Their jaws cracked open. Their teeth glowed blue with hunger. They pushed closer. Evan fired again and again, but the creatures spread out, surrounding them from both sides. The alpha regained balance and lowered its head, ready to charge one final time and end everything. Evan's heart pounded in his ears. He couldn't defend Lura and fight the pack at the same time. He couldn't deliver the pups alone. He couldn't run. But then Lura opened her eyes. Something changed. Her pupils glowed white. Her fur blazed with a sudden surge of power. The air around her vibrated. Back, she whispered. Stand back. Evan stepped away just as Lura's body erupted in a blinding wave of light. Not an attack, a birth pulse. The shockwave threw the nearest fiends into the air. Their bodies crashed against the walls with loud, metallic thuds. The alpha fiend braced itself, its claws digging into the floor. Evan shielded his face from the light. For a moment, everything went silent. Then he heard Lura's soft voice. They are here. Evan turned slowly. They're lying on the metal floor beneath her, were 3 small glowing creatures, tiny, fragile, and trembling. Each one had soft fur lit with swirling blue-gold light. Their eyes were closed, their bodies warm and humming with energy. The Omega Pups. They were beautiful, but they were also helpless, and the fiends were recovering. The Alpha roared, shaking off dust. The smaller fiends crawled back to their feet, anger burning in their eyes. Their hunger grew stronger now that the pups were exposed. Evan stepped in front of them, raising his weapon. "You're not touching them, not one." Lura collapsed on her side, exhausted. "Take them," she whispered weakly. "Take my children to the bunker. I'm not leaving you here." Evan said, voice breaking. "You must," she whispered, closing her eyes. "I cannot move." Evan looked at the pups. They were barely breathing, their tiny bodies dimming, losing energy fast. If he didn't get them inside the bunkers energy field soon, they would die. The Alpha fiend screeched and lunged forward. Evan had seconds. He scooped the pups into his arms, 3 small glowing bundles, warm like sunlight, and back toward the bunker door. "Lura, hold on," he shouted. Her eyes opened slightly. "I will try." The fiends charged. Evan kicked the bunker door open, jumped inside, and slammed his hand on the emergency lock switch. Boom. The heavy steel door crashed shut just as the fiends hit it from the other side, claws scraping violently. Evan fell to his knees, breathing hard. The pups squirmed weakly in his arms. Outside, the fiends roared and slammed against the door again and again. Inside, Lura was alone, barely alive. Evan pressed his forehead against the cold metal. "Please, Lura. Hold on," he whispered. Pups whimpered softly, glowing faintly in his arms. And outside the door something powerful moved. Something huge. Something that didn't sound like a fiend. Something new. And even worse, the nightmare wasn't over. It was only beginning. The bunker shook, as if a giant was slamming the world from above. The dust fell from the ceiling in tiny clouds. The steel door bent inward with each violent hit. The fiends outside screamed and clawed without stopping. Evan stood with his back against the bunker wall, holding the 3 glowing pups close to his chest. Their bodies were warm, but their glow was fading, slowly and painfully, like light. Struggling to stay alive. "Come on. Stay with me," he whispered. Each tiny creature gave a small, weak chirp. They could barely move. Evan felt his heart cracking. Lura was out there fighting alone, injured, exhausted, maybe dying. The pups were in his arms, fragile, helpless, losing energy fast. And the fiends were breaking through. The bunker door groaned loudly. A sharp claw pierced through the metal for a second, before retreating. Evan took a shaky breath. He was alone. He had no weapon strong enough, and he had no idea how to help newborn alien pups. Then, one of them, the smallest, lifted its head and looked at him. Its tiny eyes opened for the first time. They were bright blue, glowing softly, filled with something he didn't expect. Recognition. Evan froze. Hey, little one." The pup leaned forward and pressed its forehead gently against his chest. Suddenly, a spark of golden light burst from its body and flowed into the other 2 pups. Their dim glow brightened. They chirped louder, their tiny legs moving for the first time. Evan felt warmth spread through his arms and chest like a heartbeat, made of light. The pups were bonding with him, just like Lura said. He was their anchor. The room brightened as the pups glowed brighter and brighter. Their small bodies floated a few inches above his lap, energy swirling around them in soft rings. The bunker door bent inward again with a loud, metallic groan. Evan looked at the door, then at the pups. "I know you're not ready, but I need you. We all need you." The pups looked at him, and something awakened inside them. Their glow deepened into a fierce gold-blue shine. Their small bodies vibrated with energy. The swirling rings around them turned into tiny sparks of lightning. Evan's breath caught in his throat. Are you powering up? The smallest pup let out a sharp, brave chirp. The bunker lights flickered. The pup's glow grew brighter and brighter until Evan had to squint. Their bodies lifted higher off the ground. Their fur rose like static electricity. Something ancient and powerful was awakening inside them. Loud crash shook the bunker as the fiends finally tore a small hole through the door. A claw deeper than Evan's forearm reached inside, scraping the wall. Evan stood up, placing himself between the fiend and the pups. "I won't let you touch them," he said, voice shaking but determined. Then the pups floated to his side. One pup placed its tiny paw on his boot. Another rested against his leg. The smallest hovered in front of him like a tiny guardian star. Their glow shifted into a blinding blue-white dot. The fiend screamed and pulled its claw back. Evan stared in awe. You can scare them?" The smallest pup chirped again, louder, stronger, and the air vibrated. Then all three pups released a blast of pure energy. Boom! A shockwave filled the room, hitting the bunker door like a thunder punch. The entire outpost shook. The fiends outside shrieked in pain, their bodies thrown back across the hallway. The metal door bent outward this time, not inward. Evan's jaw dropped. The pups pushed the fiends back. The three tiny creatures floated in a triangle formation now, their bodies shining like miniature suns. The energy swirling around them formed small arcs of lightning. Evan knelt down slowly. "Hey, easy, little ones. Don't hurt yourselves." The pups turned to him, their eyes now fully glowing. Then something even more shocking happened. A soft voice echoed in his mind, not from Lura, not from any human. From the pups. "Protector." Evan's breath caught. You can talk already?" "Protector. Help. Mother." The pups floated toward the bunker door, pushing it gently with their energy. The metal groaned, but did not break. Evan understood immediately. They weren't trying to escape. They were trying to get to Lura. Lura, who was outside, fighting alone. Evan jumped to his feet. "You want to save her?" The pups chirped loudly, answering with certainty. Evan grabbed his rifle, slung it over his shoulder, and placed a hand on the bunker door control panel. "Okay, we do this together." He looked at the pups one last time. They glowed fiercely small. Newborn heroes ready to fight for the one who gave them life. Evan slammed the release button. The bunker door burst open. Dust exploded into the room. The hallway outside was a chaos of broken metal, smoke, and fallen fiends. And in the middle of it, Lura lay on the ground, bleeding, her glow faint like a dying star. "Lura!" Evan shouted, running forward. The pups shot past him like streaks of lightning, surrounding their mother, their glow wrapped around her body like a warm blanket of energy. Lura opened her tired eyes. She looked at Evan. Then at her pups. A soft, peaceful smile touched her face. "My children," she whispered. The fiends in the shadows growled again, preparing for another attack. But this time, Evan wasn't alone. Lura wasn't alone. The pups weren't helpless. This time, the pack was ready. The hallway felt completely different now. Where a moment ago there had been only fear, darkness, and the smell of metal dust, now there was light. Three small glowing pups circled around their mother like tiny suns, their blue-gold energy wrapping Lura in a soft halo. Her wounds stopped bleeding. Her breathing steadied. Her golden eyes opened wider as the pups pressed against her, giving her their strength. Evan knelt beside her, his hands shaking. "Lura, are you okay?" She looked at him with tired, gentle eyes. "Your children saved me." He let out a breath he didn't realize he had been holding. "Our children," he corrected softly. Lura blinked, surprised by his words, and then she smiled. But the moment of peace didn't last long. A deep roar echoed from the far end of the hallway. Metal creaked, shadows shifted. The alpha fiend, bigger, angrier and more wounded than before, dragged itself out of the smoke. Its armor was cracked. Its white eyes glared with pure hatred. It wanted one thing. The pups. Evan stood up immediately, gripping his rifle. "Stay behind me." But the smallest pup floated in front of him, chirping softly, as if telling him, "We protect you now." Lura lifted her head, voice weak but steady. "They have awakened. Their cores are active. They are no longer helpless." The alpha fiend roared and charged. The ground shook as it sprinted down the broken hallway, claws smashing into the metal floor. Evan braced himself, but the pups moved first. They formed a straight line, 3 glowing lights standing between. A monster and everyone they loved. Their bodies brightened until they were almost too bright to look at. The smallest pup let out a sharp cry. "Protector!" Danger! In that moment, something ancient ignited inside them, a power older than Lura's people, older than the fiends, older than the war itself. A pure omega surge. Boom! A massive blast of energy shot out of their tiny bodies and collided with the charging alpha. The creature was thrown backward, slamming into the far wall so hard it cracked open like an eggshell. Smoke and dust filled the air. The pups floated gently back to the floor, their glow dimming slightly but steady. Evan stared in disbelief. "They took down the alpha." Lura's voice was soft. "They are omega pups, born strong. Born to protect." The hallway fell silent. No growls. Number. Scratching claws. No more fiends. The danger was gone. Slowly the pups climbed onto Lura's side, curling against her warm fur. She nuzzled each one lovingly, pride glowing in her tired eyes. Evan sat beside her, leaning against the wall. His entire body felt heavy, exhausted, bruised but full of relief. Lura looked at him. "You kept your promise," she whispered. "You protected them, and me." Evan gave a small, shaky laugh. "They protected me too." The smallest pup wobbled toward him, pressing its tiny forehead against his hand. A soft voice echoed in his mind again. "Pack. Safe." Evan swallowed hard, emotion tightening his chest. He gently picked up the pup, holding it close. Lura watched him with warmth. "You are part of us now," she said softly. "Not by blood, but by bond." Evan smiled. "I guess we're a strange family." "A strong one," Lura corrected. For a moment, silence filled the hallway again. But this time it was peaceful. Warm. Safe. The pups curled around Evan's lap, their tiny bodies glowing softly as they fell into sleep. Lura rested her head next to him, exhausted but alive. Evan leaned back and looked at the broken ceiling above, stars shining faintly through the cracks. "We made it," he whispered. Lura answered without opening her eyes. "Yes, because our pack stood together." Evan placed a hand on her head gently. "What happens now?" Lura breathed slowly. "Now, they grow. They learn. And you teach them what it means to be human, to be kind, to protect." Evan smiled. "And you teach me what it means to be Lorenthi." Lura's eyes closed, and she whispered one last time before sleep took her. "You already are." The pups snuggled closer to him. The danger was gone. The night was calm again. And somewhere deep in the tunnels, the last echoes of the fiends faded into silence. In the broken outpost on a lonely red planet, a new family was born. A human, an alien guardian, and 3 newborn omega pups, destined to shake the galaxy someday.